welcome to Contact. I'm Creighton, and my guest today is Canada's foremost wilderness artist, Leyda Campbell. Leyda, thank you so much for taking time out from your painting and travels to come down and chat with us.
It's my pleasure.
Well, you certainly don't look like you've been out in the wilderness today. Am I right?
No, not in the past month.
Actually, I don't know if you've had this reaction from other people, but you don't fit my idea of a wilderness artist.
A lot of people say that. They think I'm, if they don't meet me, they think I'm probably about 50, fat, live in a log cabin and have sled dogs up in the bush somewhere.
I know you've done all that too, the sled dogs, and lived in the bush and that, but you look like you're very at home in the city. You did that very well.
I enjoy the city. I enjoy the city as much as I enjoy the wilderness.
Why wilderness, Leyda?
Probably the reason is I believe that you have to specialize rather than try and do everything. I just picked one thing that I enjoyed and stuck with it.
That's what inspires you?
Right.
You're one of the lucky artists, I was going to say actors, artists who are self-supporting. You support yourself with your work. You're very successful. I see your work downtown in office buildings, art galleries. How did this happen? Was it just luck, or did you work at it?
Well, I worked at it. You know, it's something that's built up for 16 years now. And it was just one little thing at a time, day by day, and until finally it just all seems to come together.
Hard work and talent. How did it start? Did you one day decide to become an artist? Did you want to do it as a child? How did you get started?
Well, I think the thing that inspired me most was traveling up into the Yukon. And that was just something I did on my own. And I remember looking around at the countryside and thinking it was really beautiful and that it should be painted. And I thought of painting it, but I didn't really think it was a practical sort of thing to do. And at that point in time, didn't know about galleries and cities. And then I came down to Vancouver and stopped into the gallery that's now handling my work, the Art Emporium, and started talking to the owner, and he kind of talked me into becoming an artist.
And just like that?
Just like that.
Decided. And at this point, you hadn't had any formal training?
No.
You hadn't experimented on your own? Or?
No. Well, a little bit, but nothing.
So how did you, after you decided then, in fact, that you were going to become an artist, how did you go about it? Did you enroll in art school?
No, I didn't go to school. I went home and I dug out a few tubes of paint that I had, and I started practicing. And I painted probably 1,000 paintings in 6 months. And then I sold 10.
That's incredible.
And then I burnt the rest of them, except for about 100. I have those tucked away in a little trunk. Why did you burn them? Well, they weren't really good. They were practice. There was some I kept because they had something that, you know, it meant something to me. So
you're basically self-taught?
Yes.
How did you arrive at combining colors and
practice.
And experimentation?
Practice, yeah. I went out and bought 2 Walter T. Foster books on how to paint or draw and all this. One of them was on color, and the other one was on perspective. And I took them home and read through them and just started practicing.
You didn't have anyone helping you?
No.
Another? It's wonderful. Do you think that talent is innate, that it's something that you're born with, or can it be learned?
Well, I think everybody has a talent. I think whether you're going to become an artist depends upon how much you develop your talent. And to me, that's work. Lots of work, hard work. And persistence. You just can't give up.
It just seems as though, in your case, here's someone who didn't go to art school, who decided that they wanted to be an artist, and it almost seems as though the talent just had to come out and you found a way.
There was a need, definitely.
There's a need.
There was a need for me to paint, for sure.
When I know that you need also to go on little expeditions out into the wilderness from time to time. Is it to renew your inspiration, Leyda? Why?
Yeah, it's really important that I do that.
How often will you do this?
Well, normally I'll be in town for a month and then I'll take 2 weeks and I'll go somewhere. I'll be in town for a month and a half and I'll take 3 weeks. Or I'll plan a major trip for a month or two, say 2 or 3 times a year.
So what type of places do you choose?
Well, in the past it's been concentrated mostly in the north, in the Arctic and the Yukon, Alaska, the provinces. But now I'm looking at going to different areas. Like I'd like to go to Baja and paint all through the peninsula. And I will be going from here to Alaska to San Francisco and back here on a cruise in July. So I'll photograph then, have a show.
Great. Most of your work I've seen has been winter scenes, and it's BC's North, Alaska, Yukon, that kind of thing. Do you prefer that, say, to tropical scenes?
No, I think it's just that it's something that was there. And to me, I've always liked winter. It's like a fairyland. And it was just very easy for me to be in areas where there was lots of snow.
So you do have intentions then of going and doing some work in the tropics, say in Hawaii or the Caribbean?
There's a trip that I would like to take probably within the next 6 months, and it's to Nepal, hiking in the Annapurnas for 32 days. I think I'm going to go and do that.
Will you go alone?
Yeah.
Don't you find it a little frightening at times, going into these places alone?
Well, I won't go into the Annapurnas. I'll arrange to have guides or go with a group. I used to go into the wilderness by myself all the time, but I just found that it's not too good an idea.
Not very
so
practical.
Eventually something will happen.
Right. How did you get, I know you've been to lots of way out of the places up north and in the Yukon and that. How do you get into these places, Leyda?
Well, most of the time I've driven, north, like I think it's 4 or 5 years ago. I rented a Winnebago and I drove it from here to Whitehorse to Inuvik, back to Whitehorse to Anchorage, back to Whitehorse and back down here, and that was in February. Other times I ski into areas or fly, helicopter.
Snowshoe?
Snowshoe.
Where did you learn all these?
Practice.
Not really sports, but survival techniques, just on your own once again. There was a need to get in and you had to do it.
Well, I guess I'm just in love with wilderness.
Well, it was actually quite an interesting opportunity for me. I was commissioned to purchase a piece of West Coast art for a very prestigious award. And so a number of weeks ago, I started going to the different galleries in Vancouver. And after about the 13th or 14th one, I came across a piece of work of Leyda's in the Art Emporium up on Granville. And her art form and just the expressiveness in her pieces just hit home, and so I made some inquiries about her, and although there was only the one piece in that particular gallery at the time, they did tell me quite a bit about Leyda, and I had the tremendous opportunity of meeting her in person, and we had a discussion and she helped me to find the piece of art that I was most comfortable with. And an interesting thing has happened since then. There are 2 other people that would like to have works commissioned by her, and so I'm going to set that up with her. Well, I think over the years, as I've come to know more about art, I've been able to look at things a little more critically and a little more emotionally than I did before. And I was looking for something that wasn't traditional and wasn't abstract, but a mesh between the two. And there was something about her use of colors and the blending and toning of things that even a concept of mountains that were so stark that she brought beauty and warmth and a softness to that really appealed to me. And I knew that although I didn't know the person that I was purchasing the art for, that it would be comforting and a joy to have in his home or office.
Did you ever have any close calls or dangerous situations?
No, not really. I've bumped into lots of bears and wolves, and But I've never had any problems with them. Or I've been on planes and one of the props stopped and we had to make an emergency landing, but there was nothing that was really serious.
How about temperatures? I know some of the paintings that I've seen have been painted during winter in places where temperatures really, really drop. How do you get around that?
You don't.
What do you do? Obviously you didn't.
Well, you just wear more clothes, and you have to be careful. Like, for instance, I was in northern Manitoba and went snowshoeing one time, and it was 72 below without the wind and 112 with the wind. But I had silk gloves and wolf mitts and a parka with wolf trim, and you pull it out so that there's a vapor in front of your face that's constantly being warmed. And I would keep my camera inside my parka, and then just when I found a picture, whip it out, take a picture, and put it back in right away.
And how many hours did you spend on that particular trip or at that particular place?
I was out for 4 hours.
In minus 112 degree temperature. You certainly must love what you're doing.
Well, I wasn't cold.
That's probably why you use your photographing technique rather than actually painting there. Now it makes sense to me.
Yeah, pretty well have to. Never been able to paint.
Paint? No, certainly not. So describe the process for me, Leyda. What happens? You take a photograph, and then how do you go from there to canvas? What happens in between?
Well, I usually take about anywhere between 4 and 10 for a single painting.
Right.
Yeah. And I always use slides, and I project them on the wall or on a screen near where I'm painting, and then I'm just watch it, paint.
Is what comes out in canvas, is that a duplicate of the actual photo?
No, I just use them. I take certain little parts that I like, and I enhance the colors or to give it more of a feeling.
So you're actually rearranging what's in the environment.
Sometimes,
do you move a tree and a mountain?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I envision myself walking through the slide. Say there's a hill and there's a lake, and I don't want to paint it that way, so in my own mind I will walk over the hill and place myself where I want to be, and then I'll imagine what it looks like, and that's what I'll paint.
That's heavy-duty stuff. You're already changing nature, moving trees and mountains. Lucky to have the talent to be able to do that. How long does it usually take you once you get, working with your photograph or your slide? How long does it take you to do the actual painting?
Well, that depends. It depends upon whether there's areas that I don't really know how to paint, or whether, how much I'm changing things around. I would say minimum of a week up to a month, sometimes longer. I've had groups of slides that I've looked at for 10 years before I've sat down and painted them.
So you can't really tell how long it's going to take you?
No, I can't. Sometimes, but it depends. Like when I'm painting, there's always a certain part that I'm looking to make right. It's got to have some magic in it. And if it doesn't have any magic in it, then I work on another little part. And it's got to come alive. There's something I'm looking for. When I reach that point, then it's very easy for me to finish the canvas. But it's getting to that point.
And is it something intangible, or does it change for each painting? The something that you're looking for? Is it color? Is it?
No, it's.
A life, is it a life?
It has to kind of come alive somehow. I don't know how to explain it.
Right.
It's like I envision painting a painting by jumping on the canvas and making it come alive around me, and if it doesn't look alive, I can't paint it. I have to throw it out.
How often do you find this happens? Do you throw a lot of your work out?
I would say, well, probably 2 or 3 out of 10 don't make it.
Can get costly.
Well, they don't get that far. I can tell that they're not working, so I just throw it out rather than waste a lot of time trying to make it right. And it has to be right the first time. And I won't paint the canvas again. The canvas goes too.
Yes, that could get costly, but it's probably worth it because you certainly come out with a beautiful product. Your colors are very unique. They're very, to me anyhow, very almost unearthly, very pastel, very subtle.
Yeah.
Is this, and very, very different from anything I've seen. Is this a secret blend, or how did you arrive at this color
I don't know.
combination?
I don't know. To me, I don't see that they're different. I just mix them until they look right, and that's it.
Well, they're definitely your colors, and there's a lot of, I find there's a lot of space and light,
Air.
and air. Yeah, it's very, and your lines are very, also a lot of simplicity,
Right, yeah, I believe in simplifying.
almost oriental, in a sense, almost Japanese feeling. Which brings me to my next question: have you taken your work to Japan? It seems to me that your work would be popular.
I have 5 letters going to 5 different galleries in Japan that will be going within the next week or so. It's the Japanese and people I've met from Hong Kong really like my paintings. So,
How do you market your work, Leyda? Do you do this on your own? Do you have an agent, a manager, whatever?
no, I do it. I do it on my own.
How do you do it?
What part of it?
Do you, it seems like a lot of work. Do you, what part of your day, for example, is spent on business marketing and on the actual painting, on the creative?
I usually try to set aside the mornings. And I'm usually up by about anywhere from 5 to 7. And I sit around and paint and drink coffee. And,
Do you find that's your best time of the day, your most inspirational time to work?
Not really. I used to paint from 11 till about 7 in the morning. That used to be my favorite time. It's a practical thing. I mean, that doesn't mean to say I won't paint in the evening or I won't paint in the afternoons. It's just the time I set aside to do it. Otherwise, I could be out running around doing other things, and you kind of have to set aside some time.
And then the rest of your day will be spent with business, phoning, letters. Do you have any funding, or do you, in the future, foresee yourself?
Friends have backed me in the past.
Yeah, I'm in marketing now, but I, a long time ago, used to be a writer, Canadian writer, and I got really tired of the whole role in Canada of the artist as victim. And so I went back to the business world, and I was doing just fine, thank you very much. And I ran into this lady who wanted to talk to me about marketing art, and I said, well, sure, it's a good plan. Are you any good? And so she showed me some of her work, brought a painting, in fact, a print of Fox Lake, and I just fell in love with it. I just had to have that, and I decided right then and there that being really tired of artist as victim in Canada, that I was going to do whatever I could to get behind this artist and really promote her. Her images, and I think of her work often as images rather than paintings. They're about real places, you know, the ordinary experience of the wilderness, except it's captured in an extraordinary way that when people look at the paintings, they somehow transcend their ordinary life. I've talked to people who've bought the paintings and lived with them, and they say these paintings change during the day and they change with the seasons, and they live in the person's environment with them. I think it's really important. Leyda herself is a really unique person. She's dedicated to the detail of her work. She works very hard at craft and very conscious of how, of the techniques and the craft that's necessary for her. And that kind of dedication also applies. You don't really see it in the work yet, but you're probably going to see it in the prices. She's got, rather than a selling orientation, she has a marketing orientation. And what she's painting for, if painting is communication, what she's communicating to, I think, is a real need that people all around the world have to connect with nature, to feel what nature has to offer to them, and to keep them sane. And so I think her images, whether they're the original paintings or the prints that she does or photographs of her work, are going to become internationally known, and that she's going to become internationally famous. And I think she deserves it.
I think you need to do all of it. You know, you need to get out there and sell, and you need support from friends and any kind of support you can get, because it is difficult. It's a difficult field.
So do you sell mainly through galleries, through art galleries, or do you do any private selling in your
I do private selling, but generally speaking, if I have a gallery, I prefer to have the sales directed through the gallery.
How about exhibitions? How often do you exhibit and where? And
Usually about once a year. I might be having 2 next year, but I like to be able to take the time to do the work really well, so I don't want to cramp myself too much. 1 a year is enough, or 1 every 18 months.
And how long does it take you to prepare for one of those?
Easily a year. Easy.
How about teaching? It seems you've got this talent and this technique. Do you teach part-time or share?
No.
No?
I have done. To me, the most important thing is to do it. And this is just my own practical application. I found that once I knew that you mixed blue with orange and it was a complement, then it was a matter of practice. And brushwork, it was the same thing. The brushes only work if you know how to work them. And nobody can really show you that, because if you start teaching somebody how to use a brush, then they're not going to find their own way, and they'll miss a certain amount of something that might be their style.
Right. So you're not, I feel that you're not an advocate of a lot of formal training.
No, I don't agree with it, but I'm not saying I'm right either.
Do you think in some ways it stifles
I think so, to a degree.
Own approach?
I think so, to a degree. I think that practical knowledge is great. But when somebody is actually sitting there telling you what to paint, I don't agree with that.
So do you have any advice to, say, an aspiring artist that's looking around?
Practice lots.
Just get the
Find
tools.
something you really like and practice.
Long hours.
Well, I painted, like I said, 1,000 paintings in 6 months as practice, and I used to paint about, I guess, 12 to 14, 16 hours a day for the first 6 months. But then just one day something clicked, and I knew I was the beginning. I had the beginnings of a style, and I've just added on to it and developed it and refined it ever since.
So you're going to stay with that. You're going to focus on wilderness and not be talked into doing any other topic. Well,
No, I'm not really interested in anything else.
How about prints? I know you've gotten into printing a bit. Are you looking to do more of that, Leyda?
Yes, I will be. I'll be doing it, I would imagine, within the next 6 months. I'll be putting out small editions directly from originals that I've done, and marketing them across Canada.
How did you get started in printing?
Same way I got started in painting. Just practice.
Self-taught.
I decided one day I wanted to print. I was kind of talked into it by a distributor here in town, and I kind of made a bet with them that I could make a print within a month, but there was no courses, so I started phoning up Benson's and every other place that did silkscreen printing, and I'd say, gee, I'm printing and I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. Or something would go wrong, and I'd phone up and say, I've got a problem and I don't know how to fix it. Tell me how to fix it. And that's how I learned.
So you plan on doing this for the rest of your life and getting better and becoming international, and you know the whole world will know of Leyda Campbell. Of
course.
How are you going to plan these trips when you're 70, 80? You still going to go off?
Well, I have a
and
helicopter
hike
then.
You'll be able to afford a helicopter and someone to
Hopefully.
transport you around.
I'll find a way.
Leyda, I know you'll find a way. Your work's great, and do it. You'll keep doing it. Thank you so much for coming down.
Well, thank you.
We'll look for you all over. For Contact, I'm Glolria Creighton. Please join us next time.